We're Group 11 consisting of Carambas, Kusumbo, and Lason. Today we will be discussing sustainable development consisting of the UN SDGs and environmental management systems.
Good day, everyone. I will now be discussing the first part of our topic, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. 17 SDGs. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals address a wide range of interconnected issues, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. Each goal is accompanied by specific targets and indicators that provide a framework for government, business, and civil society to track progress and take action. They provide a shared blueprint of all these goals for the people and the planet now and into the future. It's important to note that these goals go hand in hand where one is important for the success of another goal. However, we'll be first mentioning the other 9 SDGs not directly related to the sustainability of our environment, namely no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequality, peace, justice, and strong institution, and partnership for the goals. The environmental dimensions of sustainability is crucial as it directly impacts the health of ecosystems, the availability of resources, and the overall quality of life now and for the future generations. I will now be discussing the 8 SDGs which are crucial for the sustainability of the environment. Clean water and sanitation. Access to clean water is not only essential for human well-being but also critical for ecosystem health. Pollution from inadequate sanitation practices can harm aquatic life and ecosystems. Achieving this goal ensures the availability of clean water for both people and the environment. According to UNICEF, as of 2021, 2.2 billion people still lack access to safely managed drinking water services. Next, affordable and clean energy. Using clean and renewable energy sources is crucial in the fight against climate change and reducing environmental degradation. By transitioning to sustainable energy, we decrease reliance on fossil fuels, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and minimizing the ecological footprint. As of 2021, renewable energy accounted for over 26% of global electricity generation, according to the International Energy Agency. Next, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Sustainable industrial practices and innovative technologies can significantly reduce environmental impact. Green infrastructure and eco-friendly innovations contribute to the resource efficiency, waste reduction, and overall environmental sustainability. Next, sustainable cities and communities. Urban areas are center of consumption and production. Sustainable city planning involves measures like efficient waste management, green building practices, and accessible public transport, contributing to reduced pollution, energy efficiency, and overall environmental well-being. Next, climate action. Environmental sustainability, which includes addressing climate change, involves reducing carbon emission, adapting to changed climates, and promoting sustainable practices. The impact of climate change touches every aspect of the environment, from rising sea levels to extreme weather events. The Glasgow Climate Pact in 2021 brought nations together to enhance their climate pledges, aiming to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Next, responsible consumption and production. This goal emphasizes the need for sustainable practices throughout the life cycle of products. Reducing waste, recycling, and adopting eco-friendly production methods contribute to lower environmental impact, preserving resources and ecosystems. The percentage of food loss globally after harvest on farm, transport, storage, wholesale, and processing levels is estimated at 13.2% in 2021, unchanged from 2016 and far from the target of halving post-harvest food losses by 2030. Next, life below water. Oceans and marine ecosystem are integral to the health of the planet. Sustainable fishing practices, reduction of marine pollution, and the establishment of marine protected areas contribute to the preservation of marine life and biodiversity. Marine conservation efforts continue, with initiatives like the Blue Planet Alliance working towards protecting 30% of the world's ocean by 2030. However, challenges such as overfishing and plastic pollution persist. And lastly, life on land. Protecting terrestrial ecosystem involves preventing deforestation, promoting sustainable land use, and conserving biodiversity. Healthy land ecosystems are essential for clean air, water, and the overall well-being of both human and animal populations. Efforts to combat deforestation and preserve biodiversity are still ongoing. The Bond Challenge aims to restore 350 million hectares of degraded and deforested land by 2030. While progress has been made in various areas, challenges persist and continued effort is a must. The interconnected nature of the SDGs highlights the importance of collaborative efforts to create a sustainable future. Ongoing initiatives and global commitments demonstrate a collective commitment to achieving these goals and fostering a harmonious balance between human activities and environmental well-being.
Thank you, Marian, for the discussion of the first part of our report. Now, let's move on to the discussion of the EMS, or the Environmental Management System. So, what it is all about, its functions, its basics, its benefits, costs, and other things about EMS. Let's start. The Environmental Management System helps an organization address its regulatory requirements in a systematic and cost-effective manner. So this proactive approach can help reduce the risk of non-compliance and improve the health and safety practices for employees and the public. It can also help address non-regulated issues such as energy conservation and can promote stronger operational control like reviewing the organization's environmental goals, analyzing its environmental impacts and compliance obligations, and settling environmental objectives and targets to reduce environmental impacts and conform with compliance obligations. To make it simpler, an EMS is simply a set of procedures to reduce our environmental footprint in our day-to-day activities. It is also the combination of people, policies, procedures, review, and plans to help address environmental issues. Therefore, it is part of an overall management system which includes organizational structure, planning activities, responsibilities, practices, procedures, processes, and resources for achieving environmental policy. Pero bakit nga ba talaga importante ang EMS? It is simply because it helps an organization address its regulatory requirements in a systematic and cost-effective manner. This approach can help reduce the risk of non-compliance and improve the health and safety practices of the public. It also helps maintain compliance, as I said, reduce operating costs, integrate environmental programs into mission, increase employee involvement, and lastly, it reduces environmental impacts. To definitely know about EMS, it has key elements to understand. First is the continual improvement, the management commitment, formalization, and last is awareness of a systems-based approach. Now, also, the environmental management system has its purpose, costs, and potential benefits. For its purpose, it brings together the people, the policies, the plans, review mechanisms, and procedures used to manage environmental issues at a facility or in an organization. For its cost, usually it's that only the time of the staffs and the manager, and also the outside training and consulting assistance of the personnel. For its potential benefits, it will improve environmental performance, enhance compliance, pollution prevention, resources conservation, increase efficiency, and reduce the cost. And it will also enhance the employee morale, the image within the public, and lastly, the employee awareness of environmental issues and responsibilities. Just like I said earlier, the environmental management system fosters continuous improvement in an organization's environmental performance through a cycle process. So, we have this ISO 14001 for the environmental management system. So, it is the principal management system standard which specifies the requirements for the formulation and maintenance of an EMS. So, this helps to control your environmental aspects, reduce impacts, and ensure legal compliance. So, this framework will be further discussed later. So, this framework is the official international standard for an EMS which is based on the Plan, Do, Check, Act methodology. So, we have the five main stages of an EMS as defined by the ISO 14001 standard. So first, we have the commitment and policy. So the top management commits to environmental improvement and establishes the organization's environmental policy. So the policy is the foundation of the EMS. For the next stage is the planning. So, for example, an organization first identifies environmental aspects of its operation. So, the environmental aspects are those items such as the air pollutants or the hazardous waste that can have negative impacts on people and environment. The organization then determines which aspects are significant by choosing criteria considered most important by the organization. For example, an organization may choose worker healthy and safety, environmental compliance, and cost as its criteria. So, once the significant environmental aspects are determined, the organization will set an objectives and targets. So, the objective is the overall environmental goal. For example, they will minimize the use of chemical X. For the target naman, it is a detailed, quantified requirement that arises from the objectives. So for example, they will reduce the use of chemical X by 25% by September 2030. So it is more specific. And then the final part of the planning stage is devising an action plan for meeting the targets. So this includes designating responsibilities, establishing a schedule, and outlining clearly defined steps to meet the targets. So for the implementation naman, the organization follows through with the action plan using the necessary resources. So the important component is of course the employee training and awareness for all employees. Other steps in the implementation stage include the documentation, following operating procedures, and setting up internal and external communication lines. For the evaluation stage, the company monitors its operation to evaluate whether objectives and targets are being met. So if not, the company takes corrective action. For the last stage, which is the review stage, the top management reviews the results of the evaluation to see if the EMS is working. So the management determines whether the original environmental policy is consistent with the organization's values. So the plan is then revised to optimize the effectiveness of the EMS. So therefore, we can say that the review stage creates a loop of continuous improvement for a company.
Now, we will discuss the steps taken to develop an EMS. The development of an EMS consists of 27 steps, which we can call the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle or PDCA. Organizations go through these steps when first establishing an EMS, and they may also repeat them for continual improvement. The first phase of the PDCA cycle is Plan, which is the initial development of an EMS. During this phase, organizations identifies and establishes various parts of its EMS. For example, the organization identifies the way its operations may affect the environment, and they also identify their environmental goals. Step 1. Explore the context of the organization. Step 2. Secure leadership commitment. Step 3. Establish an environmental policy. Step 4. Determine the roles and responsibilities of the EMS team. Step 5. Hold kickoff meeting. And step 6. Determine environmental aspects and impacts. 7. Identify compliance obligations. Step 8. Prepare budget and secure resources. Step 9. Set environmental objectives and action plans. Step 10. Identify operational controls and monitoring and measurement needs. Step 11. Define roles and responsibilities for specific environmental tasks. And last, for the planning phase, is to establish other system level procedures. The second phase of the PDCA cycle is do, and during this phase, the organization implements various parts of its EMS. For example, it may implement operational controls to minimize environmental aspects and execute action plans to achieve environmental objectives. Step 13 is to provide awareness training to employees. Step 14, conduct job specific employee trainings. Step 15, implement plans to meet environmental objectives. 16, implement operational controls. And 17, implement all other system level procedures. The next phase is check, wherein organizations evaluate parts of its EMS. For example, the organization may monitor the efficacy of the selected approach, assess environmental performance, and review existing plans, procedures, and programs to determine how well they are working. Step 18. Monitor and measure and document. Step 19. Conduct internal EMS audits. 20. Evaluate compliance. Step 21. Hold an emergency drill. And step 22. Review EMS policies and procedures. The fourth and last phase of the PDCA cycle is ACT, which is fixing and improving an EMS. During this phase, the organization fixes and improves its EMS. For example, the organization will execute corrective action plans and make necessary updates to improve their performance. 23. Establish and implement corrective action plans. Step 24. Determine the status of environmental objectives. Step 25. Update EMS policies and procedures and communicate any changes. Step 26. Conduct management review. And lastly, Step 27. Communicate EMS successes to the organization.
That's all for today, everyone. We hope you learned about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and about the environmental management system. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's all for today and see you next time.